Okay. I'd like to call the meeting to order for Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025, Planning and Zoning Commission at 6:30, and we will start with pledge allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Next on the docket is roll.
Mr. Boggs. Mr. Bush.
Here.
Mr. Burry.
Here.
Mr. Mancino.
Here.
Ms. Rogers. Here. Mr. Smiley.
Here.
Mr. Truax.
Here. Okay, rolling then to old business, item A and item B will remain tabled. We are at item C, which needs to be removed from the table. Do I have a motion to remove rezoning application ZON-25-002 from the table?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to remove application ZON-25-002.
Second.
Discussion? Roll?
Mr. Smiley.
Yes.
Ms. Rogers. Yes. Mr. Bush.
Yes.
Mr. Truax.
Yes?
Mr. Burry.
Yes.
Mr. Mancino.
Yes.
Okay, thank you guys very much. Jack?
Of course, so the applicant here is Miranda Homes. The location is 7164 Hazelton Neck Road. It's about 4.35 acres in size, currently zoned Plan Development District. The applicant is requesting recommendation of approval to amend sub-area E of an existing Plan Development District, that being Heritage Town Center, from retail to residential to allow for townhomes at a density of 8.7 units per acre. Here, parcel outlined in yellow is the subject property. You got Hazelton Road off here to the east. So again, it's about 4.63 acres in size, currently zoned Plan Development District. It's undeveloped and wooded. Dimensions are about 243 feet wide, with an average depth of 803 feet. The existing access drive is stubbed in from the adjacent parcel to the south. A little bit of zoning back history, rezoned from local business to PDD in 2023. That included into the existing Heritage Town Center Plan Development District, a sub-area E. That was going to be for commercial purposes only. However, that development did not progress. So the applicant is now requesting a recommendation of approval of the zoning amendment to change the approved preliminary plan for development text to change sub-area E to an attached single-family townhome development. Obviously, we're doing change the development text here as considered a zoning amendment. That's the rezoning application in front of you. Again, this is for the Heritage Town Center Plan Development District, which the whole of it is outlined in yellow here, of which sub-area E is just this part onto the north. So just a quick summary of the proposed development. Maximum units is now 38, down from 40. That'll give it a density of 8.7, which is down from 9.2 in the past iteration. Open space is around 28 acres or 45.2% throughout the entirety of the development. Here's an open space map of the whole development. So again, sub-area E is up here, and the open space in the development is highlighted in green here. Proposed use is single-family attached dwellings. Minimum lot sizes are going to be 0.05 acres. Dimensions are going to be varying in size, but the minimum is 26 foot, 11.5 inches in width, and the minimum depth has been increased to 80 feet from 74 feet, 4 inches. Here's a look at the proposed kind of lot arrangements here. So these are going to be fee simple lots, but attached single families. Setbacks, so from the front, it's been increased to 60 feet for parking and structures over the original 43 feet from the previous plan. The front, rear, and sides all remain the same at 25 feet, except for on the south, which allows for patios to extend up to 8 feet into that setback. The minimum separation between buildings has been increased to 16 feet from the 10 in the previous plan. Vehicular access remains the same. They're proposing to use the existing shared access from sub-area E, using that full access that's currently to the south. And then the separate emergency access only drive is going to be out on the 310. They are going to extend the existing multi-use path north along frontage. Parking, every unit is going to have 2 garage spaces and an 18-foot width driveway with 2 parking spaces for 160 spaces total. And then there's going to be 9 visitor spaces in the rear of the development adjacent to the proposed mailbox kiosk. One of those is going to be reserved for postal service parking only. So here's kind of a look at the proposed buildings. You see here, you got 4 and 5 unit buildings, 16 feet in between. Their emergency access drive out here to the east on the 310. On the west and north sides of the properties, it's going to be a 25-foot width buffer with evergreen trees 6 to 7 feet in height, planting, space 12 to 15 feet on center. Same will go for the south property line. On the east or frontage, that's been increased to L5, which is the 4 to 6 foot tall buffer with shrubs on top of the tree for every 30 lineal feet. It's been increased from L2 on the previous plan. Interior wise, there's going to be, each unit's going to have 1 shade tree or 1 ornamental tree in the front. Lighting, each building is going to have a decorative coach light on the front of each building, and several decorative street lamps are provided within the subdivision. Here's kind of a rendering of the landscape plan. Architectural standards remain the same from the previous, maximum building height 35 feet. Use wood and high quality vinyl with minimum nominal thickness of 0.04. Traditional appearances, exterior is going to utilize natural muted earth tones. Here's a rendering of what those proposed units are going to look like. Again, architectural standards have remained from the previous iteration of the plan. They're going to have 1 ground sign 6 feet in height out front. There's a kind of rendering of what that proposed sign is supposed to look like. So they have only requested 1 additional divergence for sub-area E. That's down from the 4 in the previous plan. That 1 additional divergence needed is to allow for lots that will not have frontage on public thoroughfare, as the access drive is going to be a private street. Again, as this is a request for a zoning amendment, a recommendation by Planning and Zoning Commission will go to City Council for the final decision. Part of our review, staff have offered the following comments. The future land use map recommends medium density mixed use in the comprehensive plan that is allowing for both residential and commercial uses. The recommended density of between 5 and 10 units per acre. So proposed density is 8.7. It's kind of at the upper end of the recommendations, but it is within them. Also recommends the inclusion of parks, plazas, play areas, water features, and natural areas to be dispersed throughout the development, as well as create path linkages. They are going to extend that existing multi-use path along the front of the development on 310. There's going to be 2 gazebos, 1 in the front, 1 in the rear. However, there isn't much improved open space aside from the necessary stormwater facilities. Comprehensive plan also recommends buildings having narrow well landscape setbacks. Parking is recommended to be to the side or rear and screened from view or incorporated on the street. The proposal does feature front-loaded garage parking in the garage. The applicant has addressed the majority of staff comments. The rest of them are just general in nature, not related to any specific requirements of Pataskala code. 1, they might need to put easements for any utilities for the site. We can address that during the construction plans phase. The development text states the sign will be as delineated on the preliminary development plan, but the plan states exactification will be determined in the final development plan. So they should just change the development text to say be determined at the final development plan to be consistent with the plans. There is a minor correction, so it can be addressed with possible modification if it's included in your staff report. Again, if approved by City Council, the applicant will need to go and submit their construction plans, which is kind of the site engineering that's done administratively. And then at that point, they come back to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a final plan, and we're really just looking at what changes are made as a result of the site engineering from the preliminary plan. Public Service Department had the following comments regarding access when it was requested of the city to open the north access to Heritage Town Center from a right-in, right-out to a full access. It was with the idea that this would serve as the main access point to the subject property. This was seen as the best for access management. The city has not been made aware of any issues and access has functioned well. At the current speed limit on 310, the existing access is likely the better scenario. There could be a potential conflict point with the internal intersection of the access drive to the access on 310. If full access to the property were proposed, the developer has to conduct a speed study with the goal of lowering the speed limit on 310, thus allowing them to install a safe full access. The existing pavement is wide enough to accommodate the left turn lane there. The multi-use path on 310 needs to be bumped up to 8 feet in width, and they might need to dedicate some additional right-of-way to bring the right-of-way width to a continuous 60 feet from center line. City engineer had the following comments: the basins appear to be undersized. This can be examined during the construction plans review phase. The cul-de-sac will require a fire truck turning analysis for final design, and in the city engineer's opinion, there appears to be insufficient parking for additional guests without on-street parking. Pataskala Utilities had the following comments. The city currently has limited sanitary sewer capacity. Will not hold capacity, is only given on a first come, first served basis. There are other projects pursuing the same capacity. If plans are submitted and that capacity is not available, we'll have to wait until the water reclamation facility upgrade is complete. The fire district stated that all their previous comments have been addressed. The southwest looking local school district said they met with the developer, met with the developer, and included in the staff report's a copy of that letter that they sent to us from April 30th. The Postal Service said they're okay with the mailbox placement. Did not receive any comments from any other departments or agencies. Surrounding properties, they're all zoned plan development district. To the north, you've got Pataskala Ridge, which is single family. To the east, it's currently vacant across the street. On the south and west, you've got other sections of Heritage Town Center and Pataskala Ridge. So should the Planning and Zoning Commission choose to recommend approval, the following conditions may be considered. The applicant submit a clean copy of the complete application to the Planning and Zoning Commission prior to proceeding to City Council. We did receive one public comment, a letter from the owners of 735 Bridgeview Drive expressing their opposition to the request. A copy of that letter is included in the staff report there. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Great. Thank you, Jack. Let's start with questions for staff. Alex?
Can you pass momentarily for me to come back to you? Thank you.
David?
So do you think if the density was reduced to 5 per acre, that they could possibly meet the recommendations of the comprehensive plan as regards to parking, the side parking or rear parking, and screen from view or on street?
I can't say for sure. Yeah, there's probably a bunch of different things that could be done, but I can't say that that would exactly solve it.
Thanks.
Ann?
Nothing yet.
Okay. Tim?
Sewer capacity, I know you touched on that on there, that I know my understanding is we still have development up on, I'm trying to remember the name of it, forgive me, up on 310 there, Forest Ridge or something like that.
So Forest Ridge is already accounted for. That amount of capacity we have left doesn't include Forest Ridge. So right now there's capacity there. You aren't going to guarantee it for anybody, but there are other projects that are pursuing that same capacity. So it comes to a point when they apply for their PTI, if they don't have capacity, then they have to wait until the plan's done.
Understood. That's it.
Frank?
As far as residential appearance standards, I think it's based off of like number of units in there. How many of these units, would
None of them would.
None of
So
them,
those only apply to buildings that contain 3 units or less. Since these are all 4 or more, they would not be subject to the residential appearance standards.
Okay. And then just so I understand, tonight, that this is still going to remain a PDD. It's just going to be they're proposing or they're requesting approval of a retail or a residential PDD instead of a retail. Is that
Essentially, yeah. They're going to make a change to the zoning, the development tax.
Right.
So it is a zoning change, but it's still going to remain PDD.
okay? So all the plans on here were approving that as well as part of
Yes,
this.
yeah.
Got it.
Preliminary plan.
Got it. That's all I have for now.
Okay. I'll ask real quick. So in changing it from preliminary to final, that will have to be something that's agreed upon, correct? To changing the wording? And where does that need to be changed at?
It's in the development text.
Okay,
So the plan says to be determined with final development plan. The development text says to be determined with preliminary plan. They just changed it in the development text to say final plan. That'll fix the inconsistency.
thank you. Alex?
So as it stands now, do we have a measure of how much green space is actually within the development space, specifically the subsection E?
It should be on the plans there. The minimum per code is 50% for residential sub-area.
Well, I know, but it says green space percentage is based upon the entirety of the PDD area.
Yes,
Do we have one specifically for the subsection E
Yeah.
and the development?
yes, there is.
Okay, I must have missed that somewhere there. I was
So
looking around.
there's like two open space requirements. There's one for the total development, which is 30%. And then for each residential sub area in that development, there needs to be a minimum of 50.
Okay.
So
And they met that?
they meant that. Yeah.
Okay, okay. It felt like there was very little, but there was also,
It's for the residential sub area. It's not really green space. It's impervious area.
gotcha.
So you can't have more than 50% impervious area. So rooftop, pavement, driveway, stuff like that.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's all.
Okay. Ann, I know you have any questions or anything?
No, thank you.
David, do you have any?
No additional.
Okay. Okay, then I assume that someone to represent Miranda is here.
I am. I'm here.
Name and address and be sworn in, please.
I'm Connie Klima, and I'm at P.O. Box 991, Pataskala, Ohio, 43062.
You swear to affirm the testimony about to give you truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do. In the several times that we've been here, we've heard the comments. I've listened to what your questions have been. I want to go over just a few of those things. As it sits right now, we have no real code issues at all, zoning code issues, except for the one divergence we need because we're going to have a private street. And that's the only divergence. We had 4 or 5 before, and we've removed all of those. And private streets are typically liked by the city, I know, because the city won't be taking care of those. We saw also that the current access is a preferred access and is working. And actually, if it was developed with what is approved there now, the retail commercial area, traffic would be much higher. And it was okay for that development, so it's definitely considered to be okay for this. And we're not proposing any other separate access. We've taken the emergency access and made certain that it is in a location very acceptable to the fire department. I heard that you wanted fewer units. We've gone from 40 to 38. We've made our building separations and setbacks all in accordance with the code. We increased the cul-de-sac terminus, so the fire department's very sufficient. In regard to parking, there's actually more parking on these particular lots than most people have in their single-family homes. We have 2 in the garage, 2 in the driveway area, so every unit has a potential 4 cars. And then there's excess parking with the 9, 8 actually, if you take away the postal one, which probably could be used at night. We also have all the landscaping requirements upgraded, so we satisfy all of that. Now, I know from the very beginning, one of the questions was, the only thing in the comprehensive plan that seems like we're not really following was the idea that we had front-loaded garages. And I think it's very important for us to consider what this development is, which is a large PUD and what's already there, and also what's to the north of it in a single family. So how is this development surrounded? And what I did is I did go and take pictures, and I'm going to pass out some information for you in regard to what the existing PUD and all the apartments have, and the property to the north. On the very first page is a map of the area. I've got the site is outlined in a purplish color, and then in green I've got the streets highlighted, so that when you look at the pictures, okay. If you look at the streets in the pictures, you'll know where we are. So let's look at the first picture, which is Heirloom Road on the south, going north and south off Emsweiler Way. This is looking down the street on Heirloom Way Road, Drive, whatever it is. You'll see front-loaded or whatever they are, front-loaded garages, and the majority of that property, or what you can see, is only a garage. Go to the next page, and you'll see the Licking River Road. The same type of front-load garages, and not very much parking in the driveway as we have for 2 cars, but definitely some parking. You go to the next sheet, and you come to Licking River Road, which is the same type of parking, front load. Now you go to the next picture, and it's Riverview Drive. This is the subdivision on the north. and you see two houses there with the front-loaded garages and the driveways. Go to the next picture, also on Riverview Drive, and you see the front-loaded garage with two cars parked in the driveway. And you go to the next picture and you see Riverview Drive, front-loaded garage with a car parked in the driveway. I bring this up because we are not in a rural area here. We are in the city of Pataskala. I'm the one that got the zoning reviewed by you for the business retail. This particular site is now going to accommodate homeowning, not rental, sold properties. And the last page also, I forgot to say, which was a pretty one, was if you look at the front load of the particular project, it's not that much different. In fact, it has more windows. I want you to hopefully forgive that one thing that we don't have a side-loaded garage. I think we have sufficient parking. And I think we fall in place with all of the properties around us on the north, west, and south. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Questions for Connie? Frank, let's start with you.
Kind of on the topic of the front load, can you kind of walk me through what the thought process, like was the side load? I mean, assuming you guys looked into that, was it just not feasible? Can you maybe go in a little more detail of why that won't work?
First of all, a side-load garage means not only do you have it on the side of the house,
Right.
but you have to have access from the side. So the division between the units, or each unit, is impossible because you have a multi. So middle units could not get any access. So you look at a site like this, and obviously people typically say, well, they're trying to get as many as they can. Well, we're not, because we are less than what we expected. Probably we would have wanted more than 40, now we're less than 40. And this particular type of a development is what many people like. And most subdivisions actually have it. I have done several subdivisions myself, and I usually go in and first time I put in custom build side load garage, and most people don't like it. They like to come in from the street, go right in and into their house.
Mm-hmm. Just gonna look at some of the other concerns here. So, yeah, I mean, the parking situation also does concern me there. I'm just kind of looking at this. You've got, I don't know, one here. You've got kind of just that one side there, and just you mentioned that you got 4 spots. I'm just trying to imagine like any kind of a holiday where you've got people coming over there. I mean, it will kind of require street parking there. Is there is there even room for street parking, or is it kind of?
Let's just say this is
You're having
part
to
of a
walk.
bigger PDD.
Mhm.
There's a lot of parking in the PDD. Commercial areas, everything. When we talk about walkable, if I'm having a party there and I have more than 4 cars coming or whatever, my 2 cars and everybody else, if there's not sufficient overflow, I'm saying park when you come in at the one of the restaurant areas or something and walk over. We have now a sidewalk connecting into the development. And it's interesting because we want things to be walkable, but when it comes down to it, we always say, why don't we have more cars right at the house? So we want this to be a walkable area.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then that could also, to argue that point though, there's not a lot of a lot of features in here as far as you got a couple ponds and stuff, any kind of recreational features or mini parks or anything like that. You got a couple gazebos.
The development itself has huge green areas in the back.
Yeah.
When we first did this, the area between the green space that goes up next to the woods, I always thought it would be great. YMCA could have it. Does anybody use that green space?
Right.
Nobody uses it. Maybe an occasional person walks their dog back there or something, but people that live in the city, sometimes you go down the main street to Pataskala, the lots are actually, and the houses are much smaller than these in the inner streets and the old houses. There's not a lot of parking there. And they walk places and small lots. This is, like I said, not a rural lot. It's not half acre with a house and a big backyard. People that live here probably will not want to be outside much doing anything like mowing or anything. They'll be taken care of. And they want to be able to have a nice home in the city of Pataskala.
Okay. And then if you can go back to the overview there, you've got kind of the cul-de-sac And then what kind of separation do you have so somebody parks too far to keep them out of that basin there on the left side there? I've seen people overshoot like a parking.
I don't know if
Bump
there's
it.
a rail there or not, but
Okay.
I'm sure it'll be addressed.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that'd be something I'd do probably.
I've seen it at work before. Somebody jumped the little curb that was there, and that would be a bad situation, obviously, with the basin right there. And then the stormwater calculations, that also concerns me a little bit as well. Do you guys feel like this is sufficient, or is that
We obviously feel it is.
right?
And if it's not, we'll have to correct it. If we have to lose something, we would lose it. We'd have to have it approved when we came back through our final development plan.
That's all I have right now.
Sure,
Thank you.
thanks.
I have nothing.
Okay.
Nothing? Alex?
Yeah, I don't really have anything other than to say, I mean, I agree. As I look at this, y'all done what you can with what you have to some extent without converting it into something that it's like not intended to be. And I think it looks definitely better than it did. So, yeah, that's it.
David?
What's the difference between high-quality vinyl siding and regular vinyl siding?
Regular vinyl siding's more susceptible to the sun, is more wavy. The materials, the weight of a higher vinyl type vinyl is less likely to do that.
I think it's just vinyl siding. There's no such thing as really high-quality vinyl siding.
There is.
There's thicker vinyl siding, but vinyl siding is vinyl siding. Calling it a high-quality material is kind of stretching.
Okay, but let me ask you something. Why did you ask that question?
It's
I
just-
mean,
Because it's touted as a feature.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, so we should have said high quality maybe. But I mean, most houses that, I don't know any house hardly that builds any of the subdivisions in Pataskala that has anything other than a vinyl type product, or soffits, siding, different types of features.
Well, I'm not going to comment.
Okay.
I had a couple questions for you. First, a comment. I really like what you did with the entrance, the emergency access.
Thank you.
Not having residential right up against that and exiting into an emergency. So thank you for making the adjustments there.
Sure. I think that was you and Ann that wanted that.
So I appreciate you taking the feedback. You actually brought up a question to me as you were first speaking there about this being a private road. Will there be an HOA there, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Is there any mechanisms in place to ensure that the roadways are kept in decent shape from, I'm assuming there'll be trash trucks coming down through their school
Yes.
buses possibly?
The HOA would be required, and there will be basically some type of a fee system that's set up. And because this is not rentals and it's in people buying, investing, they'll want to make sure those things are in place because they'll be investing lots of money in their property. So just like any typical subdivision, that this will have an HOA that takes care of that.
Okay. With the trash trucks, they'll be taking their trash cans out to the front of their driveway or whatever?
Correct, yes.
No dumpsters, okay. How would you respond to the letter that was given by Casey Perkins from the schools?
I don't think I've ever had a letter that isn't what it said.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just
so
curious to your
I-
take on it.
My personal take is that the schools, since I've become an attorney and experienced any type of development, the schools usually are not for it, and yet development is what creates students, I know, but students are what schools are all about. And I'm glad that I got to go to school in Pataskala and Watkins, and I'm glad that a lot of people that have moved here, that those letters didn't deter them from coming, so.
Appreciate it. Last question. Do you have any kind of a rendering or even verbally what you believe the entrance to the emergency access will look like to deter common traffic coming in there?
Oh, I don't know that answer. Do you? Yes.
Name, address?
We have Stephen Hicks, Miranda Holmes, 4700, we just moved, 4700 Lakehurst, Dublin.
You swear to affirm the testimony about the case is true, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. Our preference on the emergency access would actually be to able to do like grass pavers. If permissible, the fire department insists on it being paved. If it ends up being paved, then we'll have bollards there and notes or signage, making sure that it's clear that's emergency access only so that the fire department can get access to it, but general public will be able to see that it's not for the entrance.
So the bollards be like mechanical or would they?
They'd be like removable,
Okay.
they like insert into a sleeve into the pavement and have a lock or something on them the fire department would have access to. That's what we've done in other developments. I think that there's an emergency access in the retail parking lot. You can see where the apartments are to the south, and I don't know if you have a satellite image. Might be kind of small, but
This one of the assistant living too.
It's over by the assisted living.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
one.
well, there's one there, and then like where it says Licking River Road, you
Yes.
go east, that where it dead ends right there, that actually is a grass paver, the emergency only access connecting that to the parking lot right there, exactly. And I believe that there's a few bollards in there that make sure people know not to.
They manage that well in an emergency? Like the EMT or whoever services, they're able to manage the.
I believe it's pretty common, especially around central Ohio. I know we've done them in the city of Columbus and a lot of other surrounding communities. So yeah, city of Delaware, lots of, pretty common to have emergency only type access like that. For 38 units, I mean, I think the fire department says that maximum is 30, but there's a lot of other communities that would allow more than 38 units with only one access. So, it's better safe than sorry. We're accommodating that, and we want it to be visually, we want it to disappear as much as possible visually for the front entrance of the community, but we need to meet the fire department's requirements.
Okay. Couple questions. First comment. Love the sidewalk. Thank you. Love to see that people could travel safely from the old village out to the restaurants. So we're getting closer to being able to have people get all the way out. The layout, I appreciate the changes that you've made. I did have a couple questions though. The issue with the turnaround, if there's an issue with the turnaround, how are you going to expand that without taking away any parking spaces? Or has there been any thoughts about that?
I think the turnaround, we started with a cul-de-sac bulb for Licking County subdivision standards. So, that should meet any requirements, obviously. It's tight back there. We're trying to accomplish different goals. We're trying to make a walkable community, but also have a very large cul-de-sac like in the back of it. So, it's probably about as big as it could go. We want to retain some stormwater in the back of the property around there because it sort of slopes that way. But we started with Licking County subdivision standards for cul-de-sac size, diameter, so it should be sufficient.
Because there was in one of the comments, correct, from,
So the city engineer had made the comment that they'll just need to prove that it'll work.
okay,
Pretty much. So, and as part of the construction plan process, we'll supply all the plans to the fire district. So we'll get a chance to look at them as well.
okay. I do like the idea of having people park over into the parking lot. You do have some availability there for excessive parking. My concern is how will that be placed with the HOA and all that, because we get a lot of different HOA complaints, going on. So that would be the only other question I would have, but I do appreciate the changes that you made, and that's all the questions. we
I
have right
appreciate
now.
that. The HOA will have professional property management, so there will be, not on site, but there will be a property manager. I mean, it's going to work effectively like a condo association, but these are just fee simple lots on zero lot lines. So a lot of how they're going to operate is going to feel more like a condo, but they are fee simple. So we'll have professional management.
And one more. Will it be possible, and I honestly don't know the answer to this question, for the private road, I thought about it whenever he was talking about it, if they end up trying to convert that and hand it off to the city, would that be How would that work? And is that something that is common to happen? I guess it's kind of like general question for the room here because I don't know that for a fact. I don't know if you've dealt with it. I don't know if we've dealt with it here in Pataskala yet.
So if they tried to convert it to a public road, we probably wouldn't take it.
Yeah, the
Because
city
there's-
just
there's
Okay,
no
so
way-
there is a
there's
way to say
get
no.
To it from a public road.
Gotcha.
You have to go through private property to get to it.
And
Okay.
It's sort of worst case scenario, kind of where you're going, the city wouldn't have the ability, like say the HOA doesn't maintain the road 30 years from now. Like the city would have the ability to go in and make repairs and assess all those property owners on their taxes and collect on it that way. I've seen that in, other situations, sort of extreme examples, but, ultimately, the HOA is going to be responsible for maintaining the road.
All right. Thank you.
I do have one more question. The signage, I noticed that the sign on this drawing, the sign entry is right beside the emergency exit. Do they have availability to move the sign down to the other entrance, or how's that going to transpire?
Be within the same plan development district. I know that the south, like the commercial retail, there's a master sign plan for it where it says they can have two signs, one at the north entrance and one at the south entrance. But there's only a sign at the south entrance right now. So because realistically, they could, the entrance that's just south of this one, that master sign plan would allow another sign.
Would allow another sign for down there.
And these will be for sale, so when we're done selling the temporary, Moronga signage will come down and, I don't think that our desire is to have a really large sign or multiple signs, so.
Thank you. Okay, I think we're ready to go into deliberation and discussion.
You want to ask if anybody has comments?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, did we get any speaker requests? Okay. Does anybody here want to speak on behalf of this?
These two love it.
Okay. Thank you, Jack. Okay. All right, so now we're ready to go into discussion.
Your comment about the heritage sign is, they say they were gonna have one at the emergency exit. That's inviting, if it is, it's inviting incoming traffic there or people wanting to come in there, whether it's blocked or not.
Is that something that zoning is going to discuss or how, because that is a concern, people trying to turn in.
That was kind of the genesis of the development text says preliminary plan, this says final plan. If they change the development text to say it'll be determined with the final development plan, then that gives us the flexibility to kind of work out where else it could go.
Where else could go?
That's what we'll do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't agree with that.
Thank you. Other questions?
I mean, obviously I have concerns about density. I mean, we're pushing the limit and the original plan for this area, I think fits it better. I think the original plan and the current rezoning is appropriate for that area.
I do remember, though, we had a lot of complaints. We did have a lot of the residents to the north of there complain that they were concerned if it did become something like that, the noise, the light and everything. And that I remember them sitting here having that there was a handful of them that
I remember.
were worried about if we did go with the original plan. They had a lot of concerns.
Right.
Some concerns. I won't say a lot. But that is duly noted.
Everyone's gonna have
Everybody's gonna know.
concerns
You're
about
right.
anything
You're
that
right.
goes in there.
So that is
I think
duly
the
noted.
impact on the city with the schools is a greater impact than it would be if it was something that is currently approved.
Was there discussion prior around where the intended school bus stop would be?
My understanding was it would be
We had an
In the-
internal
It'd
discussion.
be inside. I think it was in was what the discussion was. The school bus would go up in unless they,
I was
again,
gonna
the
say-
school bus is gonna decide if they want them to come out to the
Yeah, I was-
entrance or.
Based upon what I've seen with the way the school buses run in this area, they're probably gonna put the stop out on the highway.
That's.
That's
happens-
what they
that's
do
what
all the
happens
time.
at Redwood.
Across the
right now.
street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's right on the
And that's just,
apron.
That's they're
Yep.
they're the safety one on,
Yep.
the safety for the kids.
Is Redwood, Redwood is the lower speed limit though, correct? Where does it changes right in there close,
Yeah.
It's right after
it's-
35
It
to
goes
50?
25 to 35 to 45.
Yeah.
Or 50, you're right, it goes to 50, you're right.
and it's
I keep saying
55 going
It's
in
50.
all the way
Yeah.
till it converts to 35. So it goes 55 past Redwood.
That's
So
just-
Redwood had created their own turn lane. They paid for the turn lane. And it doesn't seem to back up traffic with the children. So sufficient space for turning.
It'd be nice
I
if-
mean, for traffic behind them.
Be nice if the school bus could pull in there from the Rusty's Plaza, go north, and then make a 3-point turn on the emergency lane there to pick up kids there
I
instead.
guess the question is, what do they do now with everybody back in there? I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm concerned about traffic backing up with people trying to get out of the city, get to the, just in and out.
I mean,
And the traffic will be backing up and potentially, obviously, it would need some type of, I think that's part of the situation. They would have to get traffic study.
I was gonna say, I live and drive 310 every single day, right past this lot, and school buses have no qualms about blocking up traffic.
No,
And
they
it's already blocked up before they ever arrived here.
Through, yes.
Yeah,
Every morning, it's funny, because you can see where the school buses have turned off and the people are finally going, and there's this huge line of cars, about 50 cars deep coming down 310.
Mhm.
They'll probably do a similar thing here. Just reality of,
Until they fix refugee and 310,
basically.
it is what it is.
yeah.
Go ahead, Ann.
So anyway, I have concerns about that. If they did pick up children on 310, and then we have children being picked up on the other side of 310, and the speed limit reduction would be definitely be necessary, which I don't have a problem with that in that area, probably.
That happens,
It happens
happens on Broad,
automatically. anyway.
happens,
Yeah.
happens everywhere. You're
Yeah.
right, you're right.
if you're coming north on 310, the reality is cars aren't hitting their brakes hard until they get to Redwood and they're about to make that hard left into the city, into the old town. That's my concern, is just the speed limits that are there. Do they need adjusted, or do we need to look at alternatives for the school buses? I just don't want anybody getting hurt. I'm more concerned about the kids than I am
The school
Traffic.
decides where they're turning, so I know that from, the past. They decide where they're picking up and where they're dropping off.
Yep.
We had that when we discussed out at Beechwood and
yeah.
Broad. The school bus will decide if they're turning in or if they're having them come out to the road.
I have a feeling they're gonna come out to the road on this one.
I don't know. I don't know what they do behind there, so I don't know.
They do stop at Redwood at the end there, though, yeah.
On the other side, yes,
Yeah, on the
but I
other
don't
side,
know
yeah.
behind any other discussions or?
This is a challenging property for me. It kind of feels like in my opinion, it feels like we're kind of doing good enough versus like trying to, be really outstanding. I think there's some opportunities in here for adding a little open space, maybe upgrading some of the materials, a little bit. I'm concerned about the size of the stormwater basins. I understand. Well, I'm hoping they're going to be very, judicious on how they're calculating that, and I'd rather, oversize those a little bit and take out a lot versus having to have a huge issue down the road where you're having to. I don't know what you're going to do. There was already mentioned in one of these letters about some flooding and stuff. Yeah, it kind of feels like we're trying to go for good enough to me instead of, taking it to the next level.
My concern is if not this, what, and it's a very difficult lot. And that's my question when I look at it. If not this, what?
Be a nice park.
It,
Yeah, I think they'd have
that'd be
a
an
hard time
expensive
selling.
investment for a park,
Or a
but yes.
donation.
Yeah.
But yes. Yeah, so I hear what you're saying, and I look at the same thing and I say, if not this, what? It's kind of a difficult lot for being in between two residential sections already.
Yeah.
When the condos went in on the one side, then the houses on the other side, what's going in the middle? And
I just think the density is too much.
Maybe less
It could be
density.
residential,
That's
but
fair.
less dense,
That's
it's just trying to, you got the Cinderella slipper and you got the
Absolutely.
stepsister trying to put her foot in there and it's just not fitting.
Well, and I think to that point though, it meets all of our requirements for density. And I think that's where that gets kind of iffy because we set the requirements and
agreed.
if we're going to say that the densities are too high, then it sounds like we need to make a change to our requirements. But that requires a much broader topic conversation, right?
Well, but there's a range, right? There's no saying that you have to go to the upper range limit. It's 5 to 10. And this is closer to 10, so closer to 5 might be the answer.
Well, and I think that's a point to be made and kind of a point of contention here is to say, why even make a range at all? Because we all know at the end of the day, if they can meet all of your requirements, they're going to get as many houses as they can in there as long as they can meet those requirements.
Mhm.
Because that's generally business.
I know we just have to be careful with some of those things because we've lost
Yeah.
countersuits on that when we decide it doesn't and it does meet. So we do have to take that into consideration.
Let's be okay. From a personal point, I agree with you. But from the perspective of our requirements as the zoning and city and so forth, like
We're
Yeah,
bound by
it is.
our standards.
It is within range.
It is within range, yes. Anything else? Are we ready to,
Except I guess, when you come to the schools being able to at capacity, above capacity, and our responsibility to, protect that, to be mindful of what our capacity is and future, the children and where they'll be put. Will they be put in crammed rooms? Will they be put in, modular units again, which is fine.
and I hear what you're saying, but as a business person that sets budgets every year, I'm still, I think they quit coming after I kept asking, how do you pass a budget when you know that it's not fulfilling I'd be fired if I did that for my company. So I hear what you're saying, but that's a deeper issue than, that they keep passing budgets that are underachieving what needs to be done. But that goes all the way up to the state level and government level, national level.
Well, I was gonna say, and we can take that in mind if like there was an egregious thing where we were gonna have to actually like say, okay, we'll let this go for some reason because we want to develop this space, as a city. But like in this case, it's the responsibility of the schools to make sure that they have enough space for the people that are moving in and the responsibility of the taxpayers of the community to make sure there's enough space in those schools when they do other things.
Wow.
Not to bring that up.
So it is a valid argument, but there are counter arguments to this. So are we ready to make a motion? And everybody knows that we always make it as we approve it and then we vote yes or no. You know, it's not that, we can't say that we disapprove it. We vote, or the motion goes that we approve, you know, that we, for approval, and then we vote yes or no.
I guess I'll make the recommendation. I recommend approval of the rezoning application number ZON-25-002 pursuant to section 1217.10 of the Pataskala Code, with the modification that they make the alteration for the signage, I assume.
I would read it as it's written on the staff report. there.
Okay, with the following modifications are to be placed in the approval. And the modifications are to provide a clean copy of the complete application to the Planning and Zoning Department prior to proceeding to City Council.
Thanks, Al.
Second?
Thank you, Frank. Discussion? Roll.
Mr. Bush,
Yes.
Mr. Smiley,
Yes.
Ms. Rogers,
Based on the comments by the engineer and not having enough parking, that he's concerned about additional parking, and the comments by the superintendent, and asking us to please consider the impact on the school system. I'm gonna.
Say that again.
okay, I didn't hear that, I'm sorry.
No.
Mr. Brewery,
Yes.
Mr. Messina,
No.
Mr. Truax.
Yes. Okay. Motion is, that will go when to the council?
At least 30 days.
30 days? Thank you very much. Okay. Moving on to new business. There is no new business then, correct?
There's no new business. correct?
Okay. Other business, moving on to concept plan review for 6405 Summit Road Southwest.
So I'll turn it over to, would you want to speak on it, Mr. Miller, or? No, okay.
I'm happy to. The good news is I won't impact the number of students.
You're using it, you can flip the arrow, just left and right. So go to the slide, so.
You've got the plans already started how you want it to go, so.
Oh, okay,
So you won't affect it.
okay.
Do they need to be sworn in for just doing a, no?
Not for this.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa.
All right, sorry. All set. Change the script.
Well, good evening. I'm Todd Ferris with Ferris Planning and Design, 4876 Cemetery Road. Here on behalf of Jess Biller with Paramount Construction. This is probably the exact same thing. Yeah, I did, so you probably don't need this. You already got it. I don't need it. All right. Here, really just to kind of discuss the vision of this property that's off of Summit Road. I'm assuming everybody's somewhat familiar with the property. Interesting location. I think there's a lot of possibilities that can happen there. It seems like there's a lot of history that could be brought back to the surface and could be, you know, a lot of these things that can happen there. And one of the things when Jess first approached our firm to start looking at this was you know, how do you envision this? How do you celebrate that? And he also had a lot of different opinions about what he wanted to do with this property. And a lot of things that he will talk about probably in more detail, that relate back to how he started his business. And I think it's interesting on how he did that. But if you want to flip to the first.
Oh, you got the keyboard right there. You
Yeah.
The right arrow.
Oh, you put me in charge.
Yeah.
Okay, hopefully we don't get any vacation pictures. All right. So currently, this site is zoned predominantly M1. There are 2 small parcels out on Summit Road that are zoned general business right now. But again, the majority of this is M1. Obviously, we're bounded by the school to the south, which is zoned general business, which is interesting in itself. And then the back half is R20, which is a high-density residential. We have a manufacturing facility to our east, and we have R20 to the west, and then M1 uses to the north with the railroad track. So this location, obviously was at some point seen as being industrial sites, but the vision that Jess has really requires us to take a look at the existing zonings and modify those to do what he wants to do with them. I looked into the M1 zoning. It allows about everything you want, it seems like, except for mini warehouse, which is one of the things that he wants to do in the back. We could get around that technically by, I suppose, going and trying to get a variance. But in the end, I think the spirit is to really try to create a unified development with this. There's some neat ideas that he has where the front will be either build to suit or for sale building, which could either is in the write-up. I don't need to go through all this stuff, but like an orthodontist or a daycare or something like that, or we front that on the street and we give it a face. Does the face have an old depot look? Does it have, I don't know. There's a lot of things that we can play off of here because, like I said, there's history here. There's architecture that, yeah, it's a little run down, but all it needs is a little bit of help, and I think we can bring this area back to where it needs to be. So that's that front building. When we get back to the second 2 sets of buildings, those are really where Jess's ideas come into play, where they're an incubator type of facility. So those would be what I would call them flex office or whatever. That would be your plumber, your electrician, your millwork guy, whatever, where he sets up his first business. He's going to lease him a space, and he has an incubator type of business that's here. And that's those first 2 buildings that are right behind there. And then after that, visions that just as a mini warehouse, self-storage facility behind that. Where that would be secure. We would have gates then at that second set of buildings. We could provide emergency access to the school site. I think Jess has had conversations with the folks there, and there's an agreement to that. Again, just bring this in with the planned development, either planned industrial or planned commercial. If you look at them, the only difference in the code is the name. I mean, really, that is, because we're setting forth our uses in the planned development. So we would tailor it to meet these types of things. And then obviously bring forth the architecture, lighting, all those different standards that you guys would need to approve as we move forward. Can you flip to the next slide, please? Oh, I'm sorry. We had a series of elevations and perspectives that Jess had done originally. When he first started looking at this property, he didn't have the frontage parcels. So this doesn't reflect what the very front building might look like, but this is the character that he was looking at for the flex office. A lot of glass, a lot of kind of modern looking buildings there. And then in the bottom right-hand slide then is where you get what you would expect, right? It's self-storage. So architecturally, I think it's stuff that we can bring forward and do some nice things with and create a nice development with that. I want to step back to the site plan as well. The plan development code calls for many different things, the buffers, the things like that, our screening. We kind of dove a little bit into the screening. proposing fencing and things like that. Number one, for security. Number two, probably to help keep kids away from the railroad track, which I think might be a benefit. But one of the main things that we wanted to talk about tonight is the plan district's plan district requirement for the 35% open space. We're not opposed to open space, but the 35% is in addition to any detention and any required setbacks that we have already. So when you start putting all those numbers together, this site, which is M1 today, which really has, I think it's an 80% lot coverage, we've got a 50%. 50% would be open if we rezone this and do this today under the plan district. And I know, given the plan district, we have the ability to write things into that thing, but we also need to have them accepted by you and to forward that information then on to council members as well for them to approve it also. So that's really probably our mission tonight is twofold. Is this idea acceptable? And I think Jess says he's met with people before and they like this idea. But the other one is this really keeping in the spirit of everything if we have half of this site being open space? And who's using it? I mean, I've got self-storage and I've got plumbers and I've got detention and it's got a fence to keep it secure. So it's not usable open space. It's just there to fulfill this planned development requirement that I don't know if it was just lumped in because part of it was planned residential and they saw most of these as having residential with industrial or residential with commercial. I don't know which, but to me that's probably the big question, biggest input that I would ask from you guys tonight, what your opinions would be on that. Jess, I don't know if you want to, yeah, Jess is, like I said, he's got some really neat ideas and I want him to share those.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. Thank you. As Todd said, my vision really comes kind of from my contractor background. So when I started my contracting business in 1893, I worked from my garage at my house, and my guys would meet there in the mornings, and my wife would be upset because of all the noise, and my neighbors would complain about the trucks in the driveway and so forth. I didn't really have a place to go to get my business started. Fast forward 20, 30 some years, I become a consultant. And I've been consulting for about the past 10 years. And as I consult and meet with clients all over the central Ohio, we go to these incubators, these co-hatches they call them. And there's design folks in there and architects and website designers, but there's nothing for guys that were like me. There were the plumbers, the electricians, the contractors, the roofers, landscapers, food truck operators. So I see this as an incubator for those folks to come, and this is flexible, it's flex space, so they can start their business and not have to worry about getting the city called on them because they've got commercial trucks in the street, or not being able to park their trucks on the driveway and having their tools stolen, which is a pretty common problem. As Todd said, those buildings up front would be the office warehouse space. As it goes backwards, it's more of a commercial storage than a self-storage. So we don't see residential folks come in there and store things. We see commercial contractors, whether it's their food trucks, their equipment, their materials, and so forth. So as they're growing, they can take on space. We can take walls down and increase the size of their storage in the warehouse. So it's really become a passion project of mine to help folks get started and grow their business. We've got some plans for those buildings up front to have a conference room where they can share the office space. We can have speakers come in, kind of accountants come in and kind of help folks get their business started. This area is just booming, as we all know, and there's a lot of folks that are going to be starting their businesses to take advantage of it. So I think this is a great way to help them. I think it's a great way to improve Summit Station. As Jack knows, he's been watching me go through this for about 2.5 years now, and it was a flagpole lot. I invested in $550,000 and about 2 years of negotiating time to get 3 more parcels out front so that we could move the driveway away from the railroad tracks and get it down to that intersection, which I think makes a really nice entrance. So we're trying to get this area improved and support small business and turn Summit Station around. I think so. Look through the comprehensive plan. There's a lot of comments in there from the citizens about Summit Station and getting it revitalized and tying it into Pataskala. I think it's a great opportunity to do it. So that's kind of my vision and what the project's about.
Go ahead.
The commercial building that's out on the front, right on Summer Road, do you envision that to be just one-story building, like the incubator spaces behind it, or do you think that might be a multi-story building?
I see that as one story. I think with the elementary school, the intermediate school right there, you go a little over a mile down the road, we've got the high school, the middle school, and now another elementary school. I think that's right for a daycare or an orthodontist. I don't think there's enough traffic really, and I don't think there's any plans to widen Summit Road. So I don't think there's enough traffic, to support Starbucks or things like that. But with all the families traveling and young kids, I think it's a perfect place for a daycare or orthodontist. So that's my intent, is to attract a tenant like that.
A couple things for you. Were you asking, if this comes to fruition for you, were you wanting to rezone this as GB, keep it as M1? What were your?
The planned development district is what we're
Yeah, the
after.
planned development district, so we can incorporate it all under one umbrella.
Okay, good deal. Just a couple of comments with the school there. I would definitely encourage you to don't just check the box with the buffering. When you get a school there, let's do the right thing for the students. If you have some buildings back there, I'm very familiar with this. First off, I love your plan. I actually do.
Thank you.
But do the right thing. Plumbers are back there. They're cutting pipe. They're welding something to go do a job or something. We want to make sure that the students are still getting their experience they need to. Again, you still got plans to come, but maybe sidewalk out front there. Keep it safe for kids walking back across the tracks. I don't want them to feel like they're having to be up on the road there. Just a thought.
Yeah, no, I would agree completely. I have 6 kids, so
My
safety's
girl didn't color
concerned.
that in.
Is there a sidewalk on?
Yeah, there's a sidewalk, she didn't color it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just was looking at your rendering there, but no, I don't know where it's at versus the comp plan, but I do like the idea of it.
Thanks.
And just right now, you're showing 2 flex office units, and then the rest is storage. Is that, you still playing around with numbers?
We're still
What's the
playing
right
around.
number?
Yeah, we've got to get some.
I applaud the renderings and the incubator spaces, doing something, a little different and something that's visually and aesthetically appealing. So kudos, thank you.
Yeah, well, I would love to do more of the incubator buildings. We're up against water and sewer issues, capacity. The line ends, from my understanding, right there in front of the railroad tracks. It's pretty high. So once we kind of get this ironed out, we can do some more engineering to see if we can get sewer, what the depths are and so forth. So there's a potential. It could be the first 4 buildings are incubator, but at minimum, we'll see the first 2.
Sidewalks. I'm a huge sidewalk guy. I'm kind of like the railroads, eventually they build them and they all came together. So, if we can do that and kids can get to school safely, I'm huge
Absolutely.
on the sidewalks. I love the concept. Obviously, we have to see more of the renderings because I have a lot of questions, but I'm not even going to get into that right now because you're going to lay it out and then we can have another discussion. But the concept of what you're trying to do is great. I think you might be a little tight in there, but I do like the thought process that you're following and doing something for businesses and things like that to come into the area. So
It's a tough site.
it's a tough site. It's a tough
Yeah.
site. It is. But I'm not even going to comment on because you still got a lot more to do before you come back with the.
Well, that's why one of the reasons we're here is that we were playing numbers and like, okay, where does it work? Where is it feasible? We got to get the bank on board, and it's like, okay, we got to get the number of buildings. Well, we got green space, so.
I have a lot of questions because I used to call on a lot of customers that were in Columbus and areas like this, and that gets clustered in the middle, especially when there's receiving trucks in there, and how are they going to park? So there's a whole lot of things you still got to figure out. Where are you going to put these versus these, the other ones? And again, once you get those renderings, I can probably give you a little bit more of my feeling,
Certainly
but I do like the idea.
Yeah, awesome, thank you.
Yeah, I mirror their comments obviously as well on the concept. I do have a question around these commercial storage spaces. Are they going to be potentially working out of these storage spaces? I know there are situations and cases in I know City Columbus where I've seen similar designs and then they have as an example being like a whole brewery inside of this basically storage space. And just curious if that is something that would be on the table for the development as a whole.
That's not the intent.
Okay.
It's more for storage, like trucks. I see a lot of food truck operators that are struggling to find places to park their truck and to store their, material or food and things like that. So I see it more storage, equipment, and things of that such. Will there be somebody working in there? We're going to try to police that, but I can't say that won't ever happen. One of the things that is a pet peeve of mine that will exclude from the planned development district is auto repair, because that just really brings down the property value and it doesn't get taken care of. So I'm thinking long-term, I want it to look good, not only for your sake, but for mine as well.
Agreed. Excellent. Those are my, and I do see that there's sidewalks here. They're just really, really
They're just
tiny. and
really,
so they're on there.
I like the idea as well. I like the concept. I appreciate the thought going into what the appearance would be from the Summit Road, kind of instead of just a plain building. So I appreciate the thought going into that. My one question is the emergency access road and the gate from the school building. So I guess maybe some feedback from Scott or Zach on that. What your thoughts are with that? You
So
think
they'd
that
have to
that's
talk-
something that's
They'd have to talk to the school district in order to coordinate and get it eaten, or however they want to work it out, that the school can say, sure, you can come in this way. Arguably, well, we know it has to be paved, so that is a requirement that the emergency access be paved. There's a fence there, there's probably a gate, but that has to be agreeable to the fire district. So how that emergency access functions is more or less 99% up to the fire district.
Okay.
Once they get school approval to do it.
Okay.
I can offer a little background. I've done both of those things. The reason that is there is because of the conversation that I've had with the fire department. They
Okay.
wanted that second emergency access. And the only way we could get it was to work out an agreement with the school, which I did, and I've got an approval letter. So they're in
Oh, that's
agreement for
good.
this access, so that's already been
Okay,
done.
good. And then the pond being close to the school, that's a middle school. Is that a middle school?
Elementary.
that's elementary
Elementary.
there.
Intermediate.
I think.
Yeah,
that'd be
middle
fence.
We were gonna have a privacy/security fence around the site for that purpose and
Okay. Yeah, so obviously, like you said, the noise that might affect the school, I don't know how that might affect them or not. Looks like it's a pretty good distance,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
overall, I love the idea.
Well, thank you. Our intent is to really play into the history of Summit Station and the railroad and kind of bring those design elements into to the project. So
I like that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I like the ideas here. Although the first thing that kind of jumped out was, holy cow, there's a lot of pavement here. So you kind of alluded to that a little bit in the beginning. That pond looks really close to the road there, just kind of nitpicking some things there. So maybe a little dense on some of the amount of buildings there. Again, you're kind of describing, when you're telling some of the stories about people being in there and working on things outside. I can see a need for a little bit more parking here, a little more space to maneuver around. I like how up in the front here, you mentioned maybe we'll do 4 flex offices. You just move that gate and then you can retrofit it. So your buildings are also flexible and how you want to use that. So I think that's a pretty cool concept.
there is about 60 feet between those buildings. So I
Okay.
agree, it looks
Yeah, that
tight
might-
on the design, but being.
Yeah,
there
that might
60
help to
feet
see
is-
the plans there. Yeah.
Put 2 box trucks on each side though, and it gets tight.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. It just kind of, the
Curtain sides. and
the
that.
first visual thing was it just did seem like that is a lot of pavement there, and it's good that you have a big pond there. So, but no, I like the idea. I think somebody said go above and beyond on the screening there, especially for the school with the landscaping and things. I think that'll be a good feature there. But I like the idea here.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you for the feedback. As Todd knows, I want to do this as part of the community and what the community needs and what you guys need and want. So I'm here to work with you, not like against you.
If a delivery was made with like a full 18-wheeler, would they be able to pull in there or would they be stopped out on Summit?
It's a good question. We have designed it so there's circulation for a fire truck. We have to have somebody do a template turnaround for an 18-wheeler. But the idea is if they came to, I want to go up there and point. They would need to go all the way though to the end. You see, there's a loop around the very end buildings and the second group. So we have loops down there. We just need to, once we get this more engineered, make sure that those turn radiuses work for those people.
Good job, guys.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Great concept, great idea.
Any discussion we need to have on the 35%? or-
Man, nobody answered that question.
Yeah.
did they? They're not going to.
Well, again,
There's more to see.
I think you got to do more of your layout and then come back with that. I mean, it's going to be a topic of discussion, with us. We want to.
Yeah, and it's a topic of discussion with him. That's, it's kind of because, as I told him, we've got a lot of stuff to do. It's
Yes,
cost a
you
lot
do.
of money for him to decide whether he wants to do that or not. And it's like, this is, like I said, if we're at 35%, you're gonna lose half those buildings.
Mhm.
Does that still work for you? And, so.
Has to do with your layout.
What percentage is it now?
Well, the ponding itself is in the 12% range, and then the buffers themselves are probably at another 5 to 10. So we're at the 20 to 25%. If we add another 35%, we're at 50% open space on the side when you really start looking at it. And it's like, does that really make sense for commercial, whether it's planned or not? That's why I wonder, and conversations that I had before was like, well, we haven't had one of these where it's been a straight district and it's been applied with a 35% over that. And why don't you ask the board?
I think, again, depending on the layout, there may be, depending on the layout, there may be leeway.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's room to massage the
Yes.
layout and the plan and, to maybe try to squeeze out a little bit more open space and corners or whatever, just to soften it up a bit. But
It's my understanding, and I'm not the numbers guy on it, but for the M1, we're close to meeting the green space right now, if we were to stay M1.
Yeah, I think it's an 80% lot coverage.
Yeah.
And they have prescribed setbacks of 25 feet, which we're dealing with here too. I mean, we comply with a lot of it. It's just, they don't have the M1 doesn't have 35% on top of it. It's just a lot. So, and that's the sad thing, is because for him to do that, you got to plan district because the uses don't.
Yeah, if I understood it correctly, the M1 will support the warehouses. It just won't support the types of businesses that might be in there. So we would have to get a variance every time somebody signed a lease. So by rolling it over into the planned development district, then we won't have to bother you every time a different business wants to lease the space.
I was wondering why you weren't doing a rezoning straight up to just straight M1 across the entire thing. That's why.
That's why,
Okay.
because M1 is somewhat limited on the types of businesses.
They can go in there.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that, we would just stick with M1.
Do some AI and figure out how those semis are going to get in there.
That's
Well,
fairly
yeah,
simple.
or
Once I get a
I
layout.
guess you could possibly restrict it, right? Say, no.
Yeah, and we all know how those semi truck drivers can
Yes.
just still pull in there, and then you got yourself a conundrum.
That is for sure. And I certainly don't want them hitting my buildings, so.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, with the school and the railroad tracks there, I don't want to see them parked out there on Summit. You're just asking
no
for
way.
trouble.
With the types of businesses that are in there, and I don't have a crystal ball, but I don't foresee a lot of 18-wheeler traffic coming in there. But not to say there wouldn't be an occasional, that we need to make provision for. So.
We would make sure it worked. I mean, at that point, you got a ladder truck, right? I mean, there's not
Yeah.
a whole lot different. The fire department's gonna take most of that anyway. So we just gotta make sure if it's not quite there, it's at least a mountable curb. So, but, all good points.
Anything else?
No, nothing else from mine.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Brought the fresh air, bringing things like that. Thank you.
I told you I wasn't going to bring any students.
Okay, so we're moving on to other business and B, Jack, terms of expiration in 2025. And Jerry,
I'm expiring?
yes,
Oh, no.
I
My
know.
freshness date. Worn out.
So the terms will expire at the end of the year. The vacancy postings are online, so they're live, so you can apply pursuant to how they dictate that. Same with last time, resume, letter of interest, and they go to the clerk of council. That's open until October 20th. And then interviews will be at the November 3rd council meeting. So you do have until October 28th, but I would encourage you, if you are interested, to get those in sooner rather than later.
November 3rd, got it. Thank you.
There, just a quick question, when our terms expire, we're just considered an applicant, the same as anybody else?
Yes. Yeah, so every time a term expires, it used to be kind of right when I started, so about 11 years ago, it was if you wanted to be reappointed, you just told council, I want to be reappointed, and they said, okay. A couple of years, maybe 9 years ago, they changed it, so anybody whose terms expired has to go through the whole process again.
It certainly looks better on your resume.
Certainly. I would hope that there is, I would hope that there is a way to being in the role, yes.
Okay, moving on to excused absences, number 7. I move that we excuse Rick Boggs from the August 6th, 2025 regular meeting.
I second.
Thank you.
Mr. Truax,
Yes.
Ms. Rogers,
Yes.
Mr. Bush,
Yes.
Mr. Smiley,
Yes.
Mr. Burry,
Yes.
Mr. Metzger.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to number 8, approval of minutes for August 6th, 2025 regular meeting minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look over the minutes?
It's a lot of minutes for a short meeting.
Oh, with that being said again, I will move that we approve the August 6th, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Roll.
Mr. Metzger,
Yes.
Mr. Smiley,
Yes.
Mr. Burry,
Yes.
Mr. Bush,
Yes.
Ms. Rogers,
Yes.
Mr. Truax.
Yes. And we are at number 9. I'll make a motion that we adjourn till Wednesday, August 1st, 2025.
Second.
Thank you, Frank. Roll.
Ms. Rogers,
Yes.
Mr. Bush,
Yes.
Mr. Smiley,
Yes.
Mr. Burry,
Yes.
Mr. Metzger,
Yes.
Mr. Truax.
Yes. And